to BSSB, where tonight we got a little something special for you here. We're going to have a little Zoom interview. We're going to do another MMA interview. Tonight we got OSP, Ovince Saint Preux,
Yep.
UFC legend, future Hall of Famer, I would say. So yeah, he's got a fight coming up here September 7th. So yeah, sit back and relax and enjoy it. Here we go. Oh. All right, man, we got OSP with us, man. I appreciate you taking some time out of your schedule to sit down with us and have a little interview. It's quite an honor from my end to sit down and talk to a veteran like yourself. I've been a fan of MMA since like 2004.
For sure.
Started out watching the old Pride videos and different things like that. So, and just have never stopped watching MMA since. So thank you, sir, for stopping by with us.
Absolutely.
No problem, man. Thanks for having me.
Oh yeah. So you got a fight coming up here September 7th.
Yep.
And in camp right now, how's that going for you? When did you start camp? Are you like 8 weeks out, or you just always kind of stay ready?
I was kind of like started camp probably about 12 weeks out. The minute I got the call, kind of jumped into, overdrive and be like, all right, camp time, let's go. So yeah, I kind of did that because even after my last fight, I was like, man, let me just kind of relax a little bit, enjoy life for a little bit.
For sure.
And then when I get a phone call, just get right back at it.
Nice. Awesome. Oh yeah. So we'll start out in the beginning. So what initially got you into MMA? I know you went to Tennessee. You played some football there, so you're definitely an athletic guy. What turned you into MMA? Was it another fighter? Did you see a particular fight or?
Nah, to be honest, man, like I never wanted to fight. Like
Yeah.
I've never wanted to fight. Like I always trained and whatnot. I wrestled in high school, did pretty well with that. Went to college, played football, and I just got involved in MMA simply because I was like, you know what, I'm done playing football. I need something to keep me in shape. Because the only reason we worked out because we didn't want to get in trouble. But the thing about it is, you work out the way we worked out. We worked out a lot. We ran a lot. As a young kid, especially a teenager, a young man, or whatnot, your appetite is massive. And people don't realize when you get done playing football, what typically happens is that appetite don't go away.
Yeah.
But the level of training that you do, that goes away. And that's why a lot of times you see guys, they'll play college ball, NFL. When they get through, you see them later on in life. I'm like, man, what happened to you? Did you eat a whole house? You're just so used to being an athlete that you just basically like, I wouldn't say let yourself go, but you let yourself go. So me personally, I was like, you know what? I need something else to kind of keep me going, kind of keep me active. And initially, I thought I was going to a kickboxing class. Kickboxing turned into mixed martial arts. It was pretty much, I wouldn't say it was pretty much all she wrote. I was training hard, but I didn't want to fight until my coach convinced me to fight. Once he convinced me to fight, I had my first fight and kind of take it from there.
Hell yeah. So I know that you I saw a video from about 10 years ago where you would go back to Tennessee and train at the stadiums and whatnot. Do you still run the steps and everything like that?
I haven't done that in a while, but shit, I was actually just at UT this morning.
Okay.
I went to go work out. I went to go use the treadmill in there in the weight room. And while I was out there, when I was there, I kind of went outside.
Okay.
Saw the guys practicing and whatnot, and kind of hung out for a little bit.
Okay, so you kind of recreate it for yourself. That's cool.
Yeah, so I'm always over there, man. I'm pretty much over there at the University of Tennessee at the complex, which basically is initially pretty much like the football complex. I'm pretty much there 3 times a week,
Oh, nice.
3-4 times a week. Yeah.
Now, how do you going into these fights, like mentally preparing? Do you have any rituals? Any like superstition? Is there a routine that you start like every time?
Not
Maybe like
necessarily.
anything crazy or anything like that, where it's like, oh, I got to put my right shoe on first, or like I put this shirt on, or anything like that. Anything crazy like that?
Not necessarily. I think early on in my career, I started having that. I'm like, well, every time I do this, I end up, winning and whatnot. But after a while, it'd be like, shit, I did it. I didn't win. What happened? Now it's just like, basically, you're like, you know what? I'm gonna go in there, do what I need to do, However I felt my last fight, that's how I want to feel this fight. So this fight, the same manner I felt my last fight. Excuse me. I'm feeling the same way this fight too. So I feel good. I feel really good.
Nice. Hell yeah.
Now looking back, what was the fight that like really mentally and like you were like, this is what I'm doing. Like I'm going fucking pro. This is how I'm gonna make my money. Was there a particular fight that got you over that hump of like where you were just kind of grinding and was it your first fight like you said, or was there a fight that you knew like, oh, I can take this to the next level and I could fight for championships and be a champion?
I think it was my second fight. I remember it was my second fight. And it was my second amateur fight. And I remember having that fight, and I fought a pretty good guy. I was still green, man. When I'm talking about, I was still like 8 months out, not even probably. And I remember having that fight, and I told my coach, and I was talking to my coach Eric Turner. And I was like, man, how far can I make it? And I was like being real with me. I was like, don't sugarcoat things. Like how far I can make it. And I was like, shoot, if you want to, you can be UFC champ. I was like, all right, cool. That's all I need to hear. And then from that moment forward, like it was kind of full steam ahead. Even when I went pro, my first couple of pro matches was like, it was fucking terrible, bro. Like I was at one point in time as a pro, I remember I was 2-4. I was 2-4 as a pro at one point in time.
Wow. How'd you mentally get through that? Like, was it like a great set of like? I mean, I know you always have to have a great set of teammates and like a camp and coach around you, but
Sure.
how did you mentally like personally battle through that? Because I know starting out in like any type of pro or any type of thing, unless you're playing baseball, 2 for 4 ain't good. So, like, what got you through that?
Man, I sat down with myself. I like literally sat down with myself and like, because at one point in time I was like, man, am I made for this? Or, you know, I thought about quitting. And I was like, man, I'm killing myself and I'm not getting the results that I want. What's going on? But I literally sat down with myself. I'm like, you got 1 year. I was like, cut the bullshit. You got 1 year. Stop going out. Um, Basically, I was never really a big drinker or whatnot, but I made sure all I did was stay in the gym, train, 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 train. And within that year, I had shit. Within that year calendar, I had 8 fights.
Oh wow.
Shit.
Yeah, I had 8 fights. It was crazy because I had one fight. Then um, at that time, what happened? At that time, I remember um, I had one fight. Then I had another fight up in um, in DC. Then Strike Force came to at that time. Strike Force came to Nashville, and I went from let me see, I was 2-4 at that time. That time I was 4-4. Then I had 2 fights, ended up being 6-4. Strike Force came to Nashville, and they were looking for fighters. And I remember they initially didn't want to put me on their card simply because they were like, "Hey, look, he's a 6-4 guy. We don't know how he is." And there were a couple of people around in the state of Tennessee that went to bat for me. And they were like, I remember Mike Camp, he was like, "No, you need to put this guy on your card." And I remember they put me in the card and I had a big showing out, which was really, really good. That was the fight. That was the card that Dan Henderson fought Jake Shields.
Oh shit.
They had that big ass brawl.
Yeah.
Then after that, we were trying to get signed with Strike Force. They didn't want to bite on it. So I was like, man, look, we got other fights we're going to get accepted on. Remember, I fought Jason Day in Canada, knocked him out in 8 seconds. When that ended up happening, my first Strike Force actual fight was against this guy named Antoine Britt. So I fought him. I fought Antoine Britt. Then I get through fighting him, and literally, it was November 19th. I fought him. I was home for Thanksgiving. I get a call from my trainer saying, "Hey, look, how much you weigh?" Check my weight, and basically had to leave. I'm originally from Florida, so I had to leave Florida early, fly back up Thanksgiving. I got in like a Monday, Wednesday. I'm flying out, and I'm fighting Benji Raddick. I just heard he passed away. Rest in peace.
Wow.
Damn.
Sad to hear that.
Fought him. Then when I got through fighting him, the Strike Force challenges. They're like, "Hey, we'll be in Nashville in 5 weeks.
Yep.
What do you think about fighting then?" And I was like,
Yeah.
"I don't know." And it was like, and my trainer was like, "Yeah, we'll fight in Nashville." And I fought another guy,
Yeah.
Bongo Humphreys. So I was like, I was pretty much on it, on it, on it. So I was
Nice.
like, after that, I was like, all right, cool, I'm good.
So, like you said, you just we talked about early. You just named a bunch of fights you had. You got this one coming up. Like I said, a veteran here. I hope there's a lot more fights. Love watching your fight. But at the end, what's your goals after? Are you going to coach MMA? Are you going to open a gym? Are you going to like coach football somewhere? Because I mean, you definitely have a lot of options. Or you kind of ride off in the sunset and just chill.
Yeah.
Man, I don't know, man. Like literally, like I tell myself, like, I don't know, like I'm pretty good at coaching. I like to coach when I can coach. But like when I'm in fight camp, I don't want nothing to do with nothing. I'm selfish. I'm like kind of like, look, I don't want nothing to do with nothing. I'm thinking about what I got to do. I don't need to think about basically other stuff. So when I'm done, I'm still kind of getting my footworks in that because I mean, I feel like I still got a whole lot of more fight in me. So and that's what I'm going for. So but anytime I can have a chance to coach, I coach. Even with football, man, I love coaching football, like little tips and whatnot, and making that transition or just like what I see when I'm looking at people's footwork or whatnot. There's certain guys that I've actually, hey, look, you do this. You want to work on hand placement. When you're working on hand placement, doing this, they're like, okay, if you're getting your body offline, you can hit this angle right here. Or like just working with certain guys, especially like working with DNs and linebackers. Like, how do you want to attack? What position you want to be when you attack or whatnot. So I love coaching. You know, my god kids, I coach them all the time, and they're pretty damn good football players.
Nice.
Sweet.
That's cool. Let's see here. So in the end, when you do call it quits, how do you want people to remember you for in MMA and as a person? What do you want your legacy to be?
Man, just a guy who really didn't care. Like I get last minute phone calls, be like, hey, like this. Hey, last month phone need to change. I don't know. I don't care who you bring, just bring in. But people's gonna realize me. They're gonna when they talk about certain things within the 205 division and whatnot. People gonna they're gonna look at me as a sleeper. Because I was talking to I forget who I was talking to. I was talking to somebody. If you look at any category in the 205 division within the top three, I'm within the top three categories, whether it's submissions, whether it's knockouts, whether it's finishes.
Yeah.
I just got my last fight. I just got the most fight in the division.
Yeah.
You can even throw the bonus part in there too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's awesome.
Hell yeah.
So now we're gonna get off these MMA questions and we're gonna go to some different shit here. So, what's your favorite breakfast cereal as a kid, growing up, or maybe even today? Do you eat cereal? Yeah. Do you have one?
Yeah. Man, so I'm gonna tell you this, right? So my family's Haitian, right? So growing up in the Haitian household, every cereal that you ate was called cornflakes.
Gotcha.
Every cereal that you ate was called cornflakes. So the cereal that we used to eat as a kid all the time was like it had a damn rooster on it.
Okay.
A white. Yep. So you just get that, the milk, add like a teaspoon of sugar, and there you go.
Yeah.
And every time I see that, I'll laugh just because it brings back the memory of the childhood or whatnot.
That's cool.
So I'll laugh about that. But cinnamon toast crunch, they're probably my best one.
That's classic.
That's a good one.
Hell yeah.
Awesome. Are you a movie buff? Like you watch a lot of movies?
Oh yeah.
What's your
hell yeah.
Have top three?
Top three, or shoot a couple good ones off the top of your head that like some all times.
Okay, top three right now for me. Well, top three when I'm in fight camp is Troy,
nice,
Gladiator, and 300.
Hell yeah, I see a theme there.
Yeah,
I like it. You're a warrior.
Hell yeah, especially with Troy, like just the one-liners and whatnot.
Yeah,
it's just like the one time he fought Hector, and when Hector killed his cousin, he took off his helmet. Now you know who you're fighting.
And it's such a good story too. It's classic mythology, man. That movie's underrated for sure.
Oh, man, I can watch that movie and the thing about it is I'll watch it and I'll start saying every freaking line.
Yeah.
Like
character's
literally
so badass.
But it makes you like his character is badass to the point where, like, even when he's talking to the kid was like, "Man, at Haitian, you're fighting the biggest man you ever seen. I've ever seen." He's like, "That's why no one will remember your name." And he was
Yeah.
like, "That's it." He was like, "Whoever carries it," and the other king, he was like, "Whoever carries the scepter, um, is the ruler so and so. Give this to your king." He was like, "He's not my king."
Yeah.
Like literally, his defiance goes pretty much like he don't care who you are, where you are. Like I'm gonna be me.
For sure.
So like that's my movie right there.
I like it. That's a good top 3 for sure.
So, but when you talk about just movies in general and stuff, man, I don't know, man. Like I like older movies, man. I like older movies. Well, I mean, I can go back to like older Rambo movies. I can go back to like shoot, even like shit, Top Gun, something like
Yeah.
Maverick. Like
Yeah.
how they can have Top Gun and make it Maverick and still keep that within that timeline that they had the movie, still keep it that way. Because a lot of movies now that you watch, I'm like looking, I'm like, man, okay, everything that I watch in Top Gun is realistic. I love all the Marvel movies, a lot of DC movies,
Yeah.
but I'm looking at that, I'm like, ain't no way you can do that.
No.
But
for
a
sure.
lot of the action movies that you see now, I'm like looking out like, bro, how you jumping across the room? How you doing that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
No,
but
for
yeah,
sure.
it's just like watching some of those movies, like going back to like all those type of movies and whatnot. I'm like, all right, cool.
No. Okay.
So now we'll go to so you got your headphones in and you're in that warrior mode. What are you playing in your headphones to get fucking ready to go into the cage?
Man,
Like do you have a couple go-to songs to get you fucking ready?
typically, if I'm training, I always typically listen to some type of trap music or whatnot, just
Okay.
because you get a good solid beat, it can go in your head. I'm good to go. If when I'm getting ready to go out for a fight, my go-to album that I listen to is Rick Ross, The Port of Miami.
Nice.
Okay. Hell yeah.
And then if you're chilling out and you're trying to relax and it's just what's your like just chill out, relax favorite music though? Like not trying to get
Man,
hyped. Do you have anything that you go to? Any guilty pleasures or anything that you want to willing to say on here? Like I love Jewel.
Yeah.
Like,
nah. I mean, I typically listen to like again, growing up in a Haitian household, I just listen to some Haitian music, cover Haitian artists and whatnot, and just kind of vibe because it relaxes me just for the simple fact it's just like, this is the music like that I used to listen to as a kid all the time. My parents had playing all the time,
yep.
and then after that, it's just like then the beat of it too is just like sometimes people I'll shadow box to that. People be looking at me like, bro, what do you listen to? I'm just listening to Haitian music.
Yeah, I dig it.
So what's your favorite Haitian meal? That's like it
Um,
really hits home, and that if you get
shoot.
to pick.
Man, some mushroom rice with either fried pork or like a fried chicken. And then
Okay.
after that, you have some plantains, and we have a little spice thing we had on it called pickles. It's like a cabbage corn type cabbage carrot. It's kind of like a coleslaw, but it's spicy though, but
Okay.
not creamy. And it's like, man, it be hitting real good.
I
Like
bet.
when I mean it be hitting real good, like my mom, like,
I can
oh
tell by the
man,
smile on your face how
Yeah.
good it
Yeah,
is.
for
yeah,
sure.
No,
it be hitting good, man.
that's awesome. So where's the coolest place your career has taken you travel wise, and is there anywhere that you still want to get to that you haven't got to yet?
Um, Fullest place career taking me. Man, I've been a lot of places. I can't even name. I've been a lot of places, but the places that I love was Tokyo. Tokyo's pretty dope.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
the
what I
Asian
hear.
Tokyo,
culture is pretty cool. I got a Taiwanese wife, so I go back to Taiwan
Yeah.
quite a bit, and I love the Asian culture, the Asian food. It's
For
amazing.
sure. Super
but I
respectful.
don't.
Good people.
Yeah, oh yeah. Like literally, like I had like Kobe beef for the first time over there, and I was like,
Yeah.
this shit is
Shit's good.
ridiculous. This is
Oh, crazy, right?
like,
Oh,
Yeah.
I can't eat a
uh,
steak here that's worth it, man.
and you can't. And the thing about it is, I've been to a restaurant over here, and they're like, "Oh yeah, this is Kobe beef," and you eat it, and I'm like, "No, the hell it's
No,
not.
no,
it's not the
This is
same.
not
lied.
Kobe.
Yeah,
This is not Kobe beef."
No.
But Tokyo, I pretty much say Tokyo was dope. Singapore was dope. Then from Singapore, I ended up going to Thailand. and I was in Thailand for about a week and a half, kickmate training, and I had my buddy. We used to train back together in Atlanta, George Hickman, and then he moved to Thailand. He started training at Tiger Muay Thai, and now he has his own gym that he opened up. Him and his brother Frank Hickman.
Nice.
Cool.
Now, as I mentioned earlier in the beginning of the podcast, I'm a huge Pride fan. That's where I started out watching the old fights like that, the Bushidos and the Grand Prix and different things like that. I've always wanted to implement a couple rules from there to here. Is there anything that you specifically would take from Pride?
I love this question.
And bring to like the UFC? I specifically love the yellow card, the no elbows, and how the judging is based on fighting and not rounds.
Yeah.
Like as a fight as a whole. Is there anything that you would like, or maybe you think would be well to bring over to the UFC from that rule set?
Probably what you just said. I thought you were going to talk about the soccer kick, and I was like,
Oh, yeah.
man, that's kind of brutal.
No, I wouldn't go that far. That is what it is. We'll leave that over there in the Tokyo Dome. But like I always thought like those are the three things that like I always thought would really like I love the 10-5-5 rounds. That was always amazing to me because I just really thought that like the fight was just right there. Like a lot of fights were made in that first 10 minutes, and it was just like was it.
Man, but you also gotta understand too, like as a fighter, when you hear that, like you be like, bro.
Like I said, I've never stepped in a ring, so like I said, I'm over here smoking Newports and drinking Red Bull. I'm done in 30 seconds.
We have no business.
I have no business. Yeah. This is just as a fight fan. So yeah, no, that's why I asked. Your perspective is a lot more than what I would ever bring to it. So
yeah, for sure.
10 minutes as a fighter. If you go in there for 10 minutes and you still realize, like, okay, for me, I've done 5 rounds before. I get done with the first 2 rounds and I'm like, shit, I got 3 more rounds.
Yeah.
I got 3 more rounds. Having 10-minute round and because I pretty much have a clock in my head and be like, okay, this round should be pretty much coming to an end.
Gotcha.
And literally, if I have that 5-minute clock in my head and I still got another 5 minutes, for us as a fighter, that's demoralizing.
Yeah, I got you. I feel it.
That's demoralizing. If a fighter says he wants to do 10 rounds like that, it'll be hard. And this time too, it'll be hard. Imagine a heavyweight trying to go.
And those dudes were juiced to the gills, though, so that probably helped that they were fucking juiced out of their minds too.
Yeah, you seen veins coming popping out of everywhere. But like, bro, you good?
Oh, crazy back there. That was wild.
Yeah.
What about the yellow card? Do you like that?
Yeah, the yellow card was cool just for the simple fact to be like, okay, you get penalized for not having action. And the yellow card kind of reminds you of like a wrestling match or whatnot, where you're stalling, and they were like, hey, look, you stalling, you get a stalling point.
Yep.
And you give the other guy a point and whatnot. So that I think that will make more people like kind of like work a little harder. Hey, look, I got to stay busy or whatnot.
And then what about the judging part? Do you like how they did like the kind of the fight as a whole instead of round based?
Because it's to be honest, man, it's hard. It's hard in the simple fact where like when you judge the fight as a whole, there's different pockets you can miss to whatnot. And what I mean by that, it can be like, okay, you fighting somebody. A lot of times when they watch fight as a whole, especially like now, you're watching a guy that get pressured all the time. I might want to get pressured just because I'm a counter fighter and I prefer to stay up my back leg to be a counter fighter.
Yeah.
But, on TV it can look like, oh yeah, he's walking them down or whatnot. So it's just different, man. I think like, especially for the judging part, it becomes tricky. It becomes entirely tricky. Like, just because you're pressuring somebody doesn't mean you're controlling the cage. But obviously, when you grapple with somebody, you have somebody against the cage or whatnot, you're controlling somebody on their back, you're controlling them. A lot of times when they're on the back, you're controlling them. But, a lot of things, it becomes tricky, man. It becomes that judging part, that's where that medium becomes tricky. Even like now, just like, oh, okay. Like, oh, this person, people think punches are more effective than leg kicks or whatnot. I mean, if the right motherfucker kick you, that you're gonna wish you got punched.
Yeah,
for sure.
So,
no. Definitely. No, I appreciate that insight because, like I said, these were always my opinions as a non-fighting, unathletic dude that just loves it. So I like to hear the fighters' perspectives and their thoughts on those different things. So, but we'll finish up here with a last question here, and we'll end it with if you could go back and tell your like 18, or let's see, how old were you when you started MMA? When was your first fight?
Man, my first fight when I was
Because you did 4 years.
25, I think.
Okay.
24, 25.
All right. If you could go back and tell your 25-year-old self something, what would you go back and tell your 25-year-old self?
Yeah.
What would I tell my 25-year-old self? That's a hard one.
Yeah.
It's a tough one.
I think for me, I don't know, man. I don't have too much things I'll tell myself because, like, to be honest, I tell people are like, man, I wasn't even supposed to be a fighter.
Yeah.
So that's the hard part for me to tell myself at 25, you know, because like again, there's times I'm working out. I'm like, man, why the fuck am I doing this for? Like, why? And then I get my hand raised after my fight. I'm like, man, this shit is good. I love the feeling of this.
Yeah.
But I think I'll just tell myself to take in everything. Because the thing about it is, in this fight game, like, I've realized that you're gonna have your ups and downs. You're gonna have a streak where you're winning all the time, then you're gonna have a streak where you're losing, or you can be up here and you go down here, then you got to try to work it. Everything is like all the way up and down. It's never really consistent and whatnot. But it's just one of them things to say, you just got to take the good and the bad. Like, some people, like, a lot of times you're like, again, with like social media or whatnot, people always want to post the good stuff, or people always see the good stuff, but they don't see the bad side of fighting. They don't see the side of fighting where basically, like, you get fighters that get broken down. Like, if you ask a fighter have they cried before, and they say no, they're lying.
Yeah.
So you cry, you just like reevaluate, should I do this? You doubt yourself. So, I think the biggest thing about it is I learned late. I started taking the good and the bad together instead of actually being like, oh man, I did really good, and try to focus on that part. So the good and the bad, they both work together. What essentially make you become who you are as a fighter.
Yeah.
So you take those together. It's equivalent to, like, I have a 2.5-year-old son, and like most people be like, man, how are you, like, I'm pretty good with my damn kid. They're like, how are you like that? And I'm like, man, because when he cries, I expect him to cry. So I love that. Like, even when he was a baby and people were like, oh my God, I wish, some people were like, man, why the kid keep on crying? I actually love that, because the thing about it is, now when he gets a little older, he don't cry as much. I'm like, man, I remember you used to cry and I used to hold you, and I don't have that anymore. I remember when you used to lay on my chest, and now I try to get you to lay on my chest. You're like, no, Dada. Like, so yeah, you miss stuff like that. But the good and the bad, like, once you accept that, I think it will make you that much of a better fighter, instead of trying to be like, oh yeah, I just want to do this. I'm focusing on just being the best. I'm like, in order to be the best, you're gonna have some bad shit happen to you, and you're gonna have to accept that too.
For sure, it's all a learning experience, good and bad.
Yeah,
sure. I like it.
No, cool. But like I said, we'll end up there. Once again, I appreciate you taking time out of your day and talking with us so long. It was an honor, and good luck September 7th, and we will be rooting for you.
For sure. Hell yeah.
I always appreciate it.
Yep. You have yourself a great day, man, and good luck.
Yeah.
Thank you.